Hi Doug, thank you so much for joining us today. First and foremost, it'd be really good to get an introduction from yourself. You could share your role and your title there at NSLT.
Well, I am the CEO and president, also the founder of the National Society for Legal Technology. We started in 2015 as a student organization. We were a school club at a law school because our school wasn't teaching technology. So as students, we just took it upon ourselves, started our own student club, and every month we just studied a different software. In 2016, we kind of started, as I met TutorPro, and our product got better, things got better. We moved from a student club to creating classroom curriculum. And we went into our first school as classroom curriculum. I was in law school at the time, so I started the NSLT at the end of my 1L year. And by the time I graduated law school, we were the required curriculum in about 64 schools. Wow. And so things just have gone crazy since. This semester we were in 200. As soon as I graduated from law school, I got teaching offers, and I am an adjunct professor at Fullerton College, at Mount San Antonio College, at Damon College, and also at UC Berkeley Extension. So I like to keep busy and keep myself going. I don't have a lot of downtime in my life, but it keeps me doing what I love. I love teaching software. Love talking about legal technology. So I teach in the schools teaching law office technology and eDiscovery software applications. And yeah, things are just busy and hopping. And we now have NSLT members in 11 countries. Oh, wow. So things just keep spreading. And that's so that's pretty much what I do. I was a paralegal before I went to law school. So I've got a lot of background in working in a law office, did employment law, and also business mergers and acquisitions.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah,
very busy, like you say, and I guess it's not necessarily a bad year over the last year or so to be busy. That's
it's a good time to be in distance education. Yeah. That's all I'm going to say. All of my classes had always been online. Ever since I started teaching, because software really is something you learn on your own. It's hard to do as a group project and hard to do as a group setting. So it always worked well to be an online class. And so when COVID hit, all of my colleagues were scrambling like crazy to move their classes online. And I just got to back and enjoy a couple of weeks off while doing nothing because we were already there. We were already online. Things were already, and it just, for us, it's business as usual, and it's been a good setup the way we had it, teaching distance, teaching online, and it's been a phenomenal year of growth for us at the NSLT.
Yeah, brilliant. Yeah. That's really good, and thank you for giving us some information on your background there. I didn't realise that you had attendees in 11 different countries, so that's obviously really wide scope. In terms of your business partnership, would you mind sharing some information about how you found out about TutorPro and how long that journey's been going? I think you mentioned that after your first year, you kind of run into TutorPro. It'd be good to hear a bit more about that story and how it's evolved over time.
Yeah, so like I mentioned, we started as a student club, so we weren't very well organized. It was material that I had made in my spare time, which if you've ever gone to law school, there is no spare time. You keep pretty busy, but I mean, it was good. It was still better than any books that I was finding, which is why we were making it, because the books at the time just weren't doing a great job teaching what we wanted to teach. And we felt like, we really wanted to learn legal technology and be technologically competent by the time we got into practice. And we knew that meant more than Word and Excel and PowerPoint. We had to get beyond just regular office software, which that's what all the material out at that time was. Anybody who was teaching legal technology, all the material was, here's Word, here's Excel, here's Outlook. You're going, well, what about time and billing? What about trial presentation? What about eDiscovery software programs? What about collaboration program? I mean, it's such a huge category out there. And I had such a big vision for what I wanted to do with the NSLT. And I knew I needed to get bigger if in order to do those bigger things with our program. And so I had actually gone and pitched the NSLT to a professional legal technology organization, which currently no longer exists. But back then, it was a good organization, and I pitched to their board the idea. They loved it, and they came back and went, nope, we're going to cut out everything except for eDiscovery. We only care about eDiscovery. I'm going, well, that, so we have the whole thing. And so I told them where they could put their idea and went on, and I started looking online going, okay, I'm stuck by doing this myself. I don't have any other choice. In order to bring this vision about, I'm going to have to do it. Mm-hmm. And so I started looking for where can I find better tools to build with than what I was doing. And that led me on the internet to TutorPro's site. And I started looking, going, wow, okay, they've got all these good tools, great training. How can I take this training and put it into what I want to do with it? And I called the phone line on the internet, and it got me to Claire, who was now the CEO. But at the time, she wasn't in that role yet. It was coming up to that. She was, I think, a couple months later, she became CEO of TutorPro. But at that time, she was doing business development. And so I got on the call with Claire, told her, what my vision was. And I said, this is what I need. And I just need the tools to help me get there.
Yeah.
And I love what you have. And she's going, well, we've never done it that way. We haven't, we usually work in law firms. And, and so we kind of brainstormed, and it took a little bit of adjusting things and building things, which it's kind of fun to look now, because some of the tools that TutorPro has is because they were things that I needed to be able to grow and get. And so TutorPro just kind of went, oh, yeah, that's a good idea. We can go that way. We can build that. We can add that feature in. And that's what I've always loved about working with TutorPro, is they've always found a way to say yes to my ideas instead of be going, you know what, nope, this is what we do, this is all we do, you take it or you leave it. Nope, they're always, they're always going, let us think about that, let's see if it's possible. But we have a lot of fun dreaming about what could be, and how could we get there? How could we do that? And it's funny, because my first phone call with Claire, I was standing outside of a basketball gym. My son plays competitive basketball. So at the time when I wasn't in law school, I was at basketball gyms. And so I had gone outside to take Claire's call. And now every time I'm at that gym, I kind of stand out there on the court and be like, this is the spot where the first phone call was, and what we have become as the NSLT. This is really the moment it found its momentum, where we found the right partner, and the technology was able to match the dream that I had. And that was really what allowed us to become so big and to achieve so much, is having the right tech partners. And TutorPro really has been the perfect pair. And as you know, there's a lot of people in the space. I get a lot of sales pitches from other companies coming going, hey, you should take a look at our stuff, and you should, And in 5 minutes, I have them so frustrated with, here's what I need, here's my demands, here's what I have to function, here's what I got, that they're going, okay, maybe we're not the right choice for you. And I'm going, right, because they just can't compare to the team that I have at TutorPro. Mm-hmm. It's great. They're such visionaries that they're dreaming things up as often as I am. Yeah. So when I'm sitting there going, ooh, I wish I had this, they're usually going, ooh, well, we've already thought of that, and we're 2 steps down the road with it already. And here is that, and I love that they take a whole week a year just to dream about the future. Yeah. That's something I've actually kind of stolen from Claire and started having my team do that too, because it's really empowering when you allow your employees to dream about what they can do with their positions. Mm-hmm. And what they can do with the future. And so many companies, I think, get into this stagnant of, we're so busy dealing with today that we forget to look down the road at where we're going. Yeah. And I think that's what has always made TutorPro such the perfect partner for me, is we're always looking so far down the road. Mm-hmm. And so I know that my tech isn't going to get outdated. My tools aren't going to get outdated, because TutorPro is already thinking 6 months, a year from here, what am I going to need, and already working in that direction. So I just haven't found anybody that even comes close to having that kind of business mentality when it comes to partnering.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. No, it sounds like that partnership developed quite a lot over, say, the 5-year period or so. And that kind of level of synergy there has obviously been beneficial for both parties. Like you said, it's not led to just you kind of improving your courseware or anything along those lines, but actually it's helped TutorPro kind of maybe direct some of their thoughts as well. So no, that's really promising to hear. I think at the start of kind of answering that question, you mentioned about some of the courses out there that potentially weren't there really, that was all focused on Microsoft Office, and you kind of mentioned about document management and kind of eDiscovery and those types of topics. But could you potentially give us a little bit more information about kind of the courseware that's involved now and maybe the ones that are most utilized? Obviously, we mentioned at the start as well that you're kind of ahead of the curve in that sense. So it'd be good to get a bit more information on that.
Yeah, so my vision for the NSLT was always to have a place for all legal technology to call home. Mm-hmm. There was a lot of organizations that specialized in certain types of software, and that was all they focused on, which is great. I'm not trying to say they don't have a place in the market or that they're bad. I'm just going, well, there's a lot of categories that get neglected and ignored because they're not as cool and sexy as the topic. I just some categories just are not all that thrilling and flashy, but they're still as important in the whole picture. So I see the NSLT as a big umbrella that all software categories can find a home under. Our legal tech certificate has been our main product. To get that, our students have to complete training on 12 different software programs. So that way we're ensuring that they learn different categories and they don't become just so single focused and narrow in their training that they only know one type of the software program. So by doing 12, they have to learn some Office software. They have to learn some collaboration software. They've got to learn some data management software, case management software. We ensure they become a little bit more well-rounded in their education when it comes to technology. So some of our most favorite courses that we've had out there is one that my number one course is one that TutorPro made at my request, where I came in with, I really want this. And that is for the time and billing software called Clio. So Clio has been one of our most popular programs to take. Almost every one of our students take it. It's good. They like it. They love the training. A lot of schools use Clio in their what the word's called, in their clinics. In their clinics at the law schools, the clinics run using Clio. Clio is a phenomenal company. They do a lot of great things. They provide a lot of software to the schools. And so a lot of schools use that program, but they just didn't have great training for the students in it. And so by pairing our course with that, a lot of our students take that before they go to work into the clinics. So that's become one of our more popular ones. Now, earlier I said, hey, the focus was on Office and Word and Excel. Well, that's still a huge part of legal technology. And you can't really go work in a law firm if you don't understand how Word functions. So Word is still one of our biggest. Outlook, Excel, because attorneys don't know Excel. And so we do a lot in schools. That's where a lot of our customers come from, a lot of our members, our students, just getting their foot wet into legal and learning what's out there. So we see a lot of those kind of basic ones of Word, the Word, Excel, Outlook, PowerPoint, because students are coming out of college or coming out of high school not knowing how any of those programs work because they've been using Google Docs all through school, and it's kind of ruined their ability to handle those desktop major programs. Yeah. So we do a lot of training with those basics as well. We spent all of 2020 building a whole new certificate, working very closely hand in hand with TutorPro. In fact, they probably got tired of my phone calls and emails coming their direction, but it was a really huge endeavor. Probably one of the biggest projects that have been undertaken in a long time. We built an entire certificate teaching eDiscovery software applications. We did it hand in hand with ACEDS, the American Association of Certified eDiscovery Specialists. So they're experts in teaching theory in ACEDS, theory in eDiscovery. And NSLT has always been phenomenal at teaching the practical software applications, thanks to TutorPro's technology and training courses that allow us to be so phenomenal at that. And schools have been wanting to teach eDiscovery, didn't know how to get there. So many people in the legal field, they want to learn eDiscovery, but they're not in a job that does it, so they're not getting on-the-job training. So we tried to think of how could we solve that problem. So I went to Claire and said, hey, I want to build this new eDiscovery technology certification. We're going to do it with ACEDS. They're going to teach the theory. We need to teach the practical, how it works. Oh, and by the way, I need you to build training on 9 new software programs for me. And Claire just went, okay, let's look at that. And you're going, no. I mean, 9 new programs, new courses. We got to build 50 hours of training. It's just going, okay, well, we can do that, And it's just, again, like I said, the phenomenal thing about TutorPro is they always have found a way to tell me yes. Mm-hmm. And I mean, building 50 hours of training from scratch on 9 programs that they didn't have in their courseware, they had. I mean, that's a phenomenal project to undertake, and huge, especially since eDiscovery software companies do not like to work with other eDiscovery software companies. And getting this project, I mean, just navigating the political minefield we had to go through to get the training we needed, I mean, was a feat and a half all by itself. But the trainers at TutorPro, I mean, the material it came out being the best I have ever seen. Mm-hmm. And I see a lot.
Yeah.
And I mean, the quality of it, some of the software companies, when they saw our lessons, I mean, they were amazed at how beautiful their software came across looking, how easy it was to understand, how we made it so simple to understand some of those complex steps and processes that work with their software. One of the software companies even told us, oh, don't teach that topic. Don't teach how to do that. It's way too complicated. You will never get them to understand how that process works. But we did it anyway. and again, the training, the curriculum team at TutorPro turned it out, and it just is absolutely gorgeous and phenomenal. And it blew the software company away to the point they were going, you know what, maybe we're gonna throw away our training. We're gonna buy this from TutorPro instead, and we'll use their training because it was better than what the software company had built on their own product. When they're the ones who built it, TutorPro was able to teach it in such a way that made it easy to understand. And so our eDiscovery certificate launched last week. Phenomenal. We've had tons, just overwhelming response back to it. It's been, I've hardly slept since trying to keep up with everything that's going on. We did give some of our schools some advance notice that it was coming, and some of the schools just jumped right with it. So we secretly used it last semester, and we let a dozen schools kind of pilot it for us and see, okay, does it work? What do we need to build? What goes with it? And they ate it up. They were taking the lessons almost faster than we could get them written. Some of the times the curriculum team at TutorPro was literally days ahead of the class, putting things out, days right ahead of what the class was needing. And it was a little stressful, but getting everything to that quality.
Yeah.
But it's absolutely amazing, the way it turned out, and beautiful product. And I think it's really going to revolutionize the way that we teach eDiscovery. Mm-hmm. We had 127 schools when we announced that eDiscovery was there. We had 127 schools attend our info session because they were wanting to build an eDiscovery class. They saw this curriculum as the way to do it. They saw that this was going to solve a lot of their issues as to how we do it. And so by using TutorPro simulated training, mm-hmm. it solves a lot of problems that we were facing in schools. One of the things is, getting students to have the software. One firm training, hey, not so bad, but you're buying the software for your firm and you're installing it on your computer. Things, you don't have those hassles. But when you're talking about a community college student in the middle of nowhere on their own, they can barely afford to go take the class, they can't afford to go buy software on top so that we can do all this training. So by using TutorPro simulations, it allows them to feel like we're getting that hands-on experience. They're getting that software that they want mm-hmm. training on. They're not playing in live documents. They're not destroying any database systems. They're not lost. I tell you, it's like learning how to bowl and using the TutorPro lessons. It's like bumper bowling. You put up the sign so that the ball can only go down the lane, and you get it in your head that, the ball goes and hits the pin. That's what it's supposed to do. So with those simulated training, it's kind of that same thing. We're doing bumper bowling with them. With the training, we're keeping them very guided, very step-by-step, very focused. This is what the task is. Here's the buttons that get you there. So then when we put down the bumpers and they're playing in the live software, they know what they're supposed to do. Mm-hmm. They've seen it perfectly before. They can walk their way through. And, the retention is just skyrocketed from that method, from when we were using textbooks and live software. Grades were lower, retention levels were lower. The quality of the teaching was lower when we switched to TutorPro simulations to teach how the software works. grades went up. We saw, schools that had classes that were struggling to get students into them were now adding double sections because the class became so popular, students were wanting to take it. And now they're adding more sections and finding more seats. And, just phenomenal things have been happening thanks to all the hard work and vision that TutorPro has brought to the category.
Yeah, definitely, and a lot of it is down to the course content, which obviously you had a big hand in as well, which is great. But I think the last bit you were touching on there kind of brings me to the point of delivery, and I think that's also an important aspect of I guess its success. And obviously, my understanding is that you use the TutorPro LMS to help with some of the delivery in that sense. Just on that topic, do you have any kind of top features that enable you to be able to roll out quickly or effectively? Is there anything about the LMS that you think, actually this is the reason we can roll out so effectively?
Oh, it's the perfect tool for being an adjunct professor.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of get to wear two hats. I get to be CEO of NSLT and drive the innovation and drive sales and product that way. But I'm also really one of its biggest customers because I'm teaching at 4 different colleges. I'm using their tools in my class, and so I then get to, at the end of the day, I get to put on my adjunct professor hat, and I get to go use the product. And I think that's what drives so much of the NSLT innovation is we're busy building the features we need to be able to teach. One of my favorite features, and one of my adjunct's favorite features, is when we get users into the LMS, we can assign them to a supervisor. That supervisor can pop in, see what lessons they've taken, see the dates, the times, how long it took them to do the lessons, the knowledge check scores. I mean, there is no hiding anywhere in this class for students. And sometimes students like to bluff a little bit and exaggerate. And, especially now that so much is tech-driven, a lot of students would just be like, oh, I ran into tech problems. Oh, I couldn't do my homework because the tech didn't work. And I can pop in the back end and go, nope, you didn't. That isn't why it didn't. You haven't been here. So, it allows me to kind of call their bluff and realize what's going on behind them. It becomes a great lesson for the students in how metadata works and how everywhere you go digitally, you leave a thumbprint that we can follow and know what you've been doing. It's just such a phenomenal tool. It allows me to have the right conversation with my students when they're going, oh, I don't understand how this goes. I mean, so many students learn that's the easy button when it comes to training, when it comes to schoolwork. And, if I'm training on the job even, you just, with this was all complicated, and they've been talking for 10 minutes, and I just kind of zoned out, and I didn't pay attention. All I have to do is at the end go, I didn't understand. And they're going to go back and go, okay, step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, do this. They're going to cut out all the noise, everything else they did. Students do the same thing. They'll listen to you lecture for 3 hours, and then at the end they'll shoot you an email and say, Professor, I don't understand. And that's how they tell you, so that you will cut all that 3 hours of noise down into, okay, here's the things you need to do. So with using this feature, when my students send me that, I don't get it, I can pop in the back and go, well, you did the lesson in 1.5 minutes, so that's probably why you don't understand. So maybe you should go back and spend longer doing this so you understand how it is. And I can do that. But then if I pop in the back end and see, okay, they spent 20 minutes in their lesson. I really have someone here who doesn't understand.
Yeah.
This really is, so it allows me as an instructor, as a software instructor, to spend the right time with the right person. And that's, in a busy world, that's just completely invaluable to be able to find that, to narrow down who I need to spend my time with. And so that's a phenomenal feature. I love the automatic reports.
Okay.
I love that I can generate reports and I can click and save, and every Friday, 5 o'clock, it's going to email me my report. It's going to generate it. I can just push the button and get my report. I don't have to go in and tell it to run. I don't have to reset up my query. It's all set. It's go. It just feeds it right to my inbox. And, in a busy world, again, it's such a nice feature to have. It's just love that. The bulk edits, I do have to say, is my favorite because I hounded TutorPro forever to get that. And so it was something, again, as an instructor, you're dealing with a lot of students. One of my classes that I teach, I've got 60 students in there. And so each of my students are finishing the semester, probably are taking 700 modules over the course of the semester.
Wow, yes.
The NSLT runs more lessons than probably any other TutorPro company out there. I would definitely bet. We probably, last I heard, we were running about 15,000 lessons a day. Now, that was the last number I heard from the TutorPro tech team. It's probably gone a lot higher than that by now. But, when I called in, they're going, well, you run a lot of lessons. We do. We've got students all over the world. And, so 15,000 lessons a day, we definitely put TutorPro through its paces. We definitely, if there's an error out there, we will find it. It will function. And the nice thing is, with that many lessons going on a day, and if one of my members sat down and took every lesson we make available through the TutorPro courseware, they would be taking 1,800 lessons to get through everything. Just the material that TutorPro provides our organization and helps us build it to our members, it's vast, it's huge. No one has that selection out there of courseware, even close to what TutorPro has. It just, and yet I'm still always going to TutorPro going, hey, I would love this. How about you build me, and I'm sure they see my caller number come up on the caller ID, and I'm sure they're always like, oh, no.
What is it this time?
Don't call going, we don't have any time. Come back in, I think we can fit you in 2024. We are all mapped out between now and then. But it's just, TutorPro went from being a company I worked with to being extended family. They're so phenomenal to work with. They're so much fun to hang out with. At ILTA, I'd go to the ILTA conferences, and I think I would spend all day hanging out in their booth, just chatting and spending time with the team. They're just so much fun, and just unlike any other company that we work with. We work with a lot. We work with a lot of different companies, but the TutorPro team is family. That's just what they've become to me, and it's nice. I feel like if they give me their word, I can rely on that. I don't have to be. I'm sitting there poring over contracts and be going, okay, this is what you promised, this is what you didn't. Oh, this is here's where it's written. I don't have to worry about any of that, like I do with a lot of other companies. Yeah. With TutorPro, when Claire tells me something, I can believe it. I can take her at her word because I know the TutorPro company just has that level of integrity in everything they do. I know the quality is always going to be high. I don't have to put it through my own quality controls because it's going to come higher than anything I could ever expect that it would be. It's there. When they tell me they're going to build me something and they're going to build me something good, it's going to be good. It will be phenomenal. I can just trust in that. So I love that about working with TutorPro.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it's just been such a phenomenal thing, and I know I would not be where we are.
Yeah.
There's no way I could be in 11 countries without having such a phenomenal tech partner to help me build my vision and help me achieve my goals. It's just, it's the best. It's the best quality in the industry. They're the best trainers in the industry. I mean, it just, and it helps me be the kind of organization I want to be.
Yeah, definitely. No, and thank you for speaking so candidly. I think I will speak on behalf of Bear and say that I'm sure that it's a mirrored feeling in terms of how thankful we are for the partnership, and like I said, it is extended family, and we always refer to to partners and clients alike as being part of the client family. So definitely part of that extended bracket for sure, Doug. I'm mindful of time, but thank you so much for your time today and talking to us about the partnership. It's definitely taught me a lot, which is good. I don't know if you have anything to add, but ultimately, thanks so much for your time.
Well, thank you. I appreciate getting to chat with you.